ISO 9001. This can be considered as the continuation of my previous video where I have explained ISO in a very simple way. If you have not watched it, I recommend to kindly watch and come back. I've given the link over here to make this video more interesting. If you are a fresher or lacking with enough exposure to multinational organization, each video I post here keeps on adding an advantage for your interviews or in terms of improving your knowledge, or when you get into an industry and hear all those unfamiliar terms which are industry specific, it's easier for you to grasp all of them and you can complete your training pretty soon. So every knowledge you gain here will never go on waste. I'm Srilal, welcome to another video. ISO 9001. As I mentioned in my previous video, this is for the quality management system of an organization. The latest edition of this document is ISO 9001 2015. So every 5 years ISO reviews to know if any updates required. So even though they make an updates, it's always addition of a few things, and most of the times the rest of the requirements will remain as it is. So once you know the concept of this, it's easier for you to get updated with ISO. Of course, I'll be making separate videos just to explain those updates. So ISO implements a process approach with this document. That means the audit is done and the certification is given not just based on the quality of the product. It's all based on the quality of the process by which it is manufactured, looking at the long-term perspective. Very important to know, ISO recommends or ISO encourages to use PDCA cycle. There is something called PDCA. We are using in our day-to-day lives even without our knowledge most of the times, but applied in the industry in a much professional way, in each process and also in the quality management system as a whole. Let's take a simple example to understand it. Let's take a target in your mind that you need to go and buy the groceries, and next 20 minutes the shop is going to be closed. First thing what you do is plan. Let's take a very simple plan. Go straight, take right and take left. And do is when you get into your bike and start traveling towards it, and you realize that the speed is not good enough just because the condition of the road is not that great, and you realize that you won't be able to reach the destination on time. That means the process you have implemented to reach the destination is not effective. That is what the checking is happening. And next, you find an alternative route which is good enough and you decide to take a deviation. When you take a deviation, it becomes an act. Means you have planned it, you have been doing it, and you checked whether it's effective or not, and then you acted on the results of the check. And this actually continues in the process until you reach the destination. So let's get back to our document, which is ISO 9001 2015. This document is majorly classified into 10 major headers, and the first 3 are just talking about the document, and the actual requirement starts from the point number 4. Let's not spend too much time on the first 3, but we need to discuss. One is scope. Any standard document you get, go through the scope. It defines the purpose of the standard and also the applicability of the standard. Here the scope would be, this international standard specifies the requirement for a quality management system of an organization, where the organization needs to demonstrate its ability to constantly provide the products and services that meets the customer requirement within statutory and regulatory requirement. It also aims to enhance the customer satisfaction through effective utilization of system and also the process for the improvement of the system. This also employs the risk-based thinking, means carrying out all the preventive actions before an issue occurs, or even if an issue occurs and learning out of it and also preventing the reoccurrence of the same issue. 2. Normative references. This just talks about other document reference with respect to this document. For example, ISO 9000 2015 talks about fundamentals and vocabulary of this international standard, and ISO 9004, which serves as a guidance for an organization if it wants to go beyond the requirement of this particular international standard. 3. Terms and definitions. So even if I give this particular standard to you, with just the English knowledge, it's not very easy for you to understand unless you see that applied in an organization. Because ISO has their own definition for each and every term they use. For example, when you see a term shall, that indicates a requirement. The organization shall do it means the organization must do it. It's a requirement. Meanwhile, should indicates a recommendation, may indicates a permission, can indicates a possibility or a capability. So the actual requirement, as I said, it starts from point number 4, which is context of the organization. So 4.1 we have understanding the organization and its context. It means it defines the organization shall determine external and internal issues which are relevant to the purpose and strategic direction of the organization. What is strategic direction and purpose of the organization is nothing but the results the organization needs to achieve. So basically it says that organization must know what are the internal and what are the external issues. The organization shall monitor and review the information about these internal and external issues. External issues are something which is arising outside the organization, such as legal issues or the economic issues or the competitive market issues. And internal is something that is arising from within the organization. It can be values, culture, issues within the departments, knowledge and performance of the particular department. So 4.2, understanding the needs and expectations of interested parties. Who are interested parties? A person or a group of people who is affected by the operation of this particular industry. The organization needs to know the needs and expectations of those interested parties, and the organization needs to monitor and review the information related to their requirements. So 4.3, determining the scope of quality management system. This is very important point. So this particular standard is not designed for any particular type of industry. This is applicable everywhere. So an opportunity is given for organization to define their applicability and their boundaries, just because everything is really not possible to achieve. So they can define what is applicable for them out of the requirements given by the ISO. And while determining the scope, the organization needs to consider the external and internal issues which were discussed earlier, and also the needs and expectations of interested parties discussed earlier. And if something is considered as not applicable, that should not affect the organization's ability to provide the products and services that meets the customer requirements. And the scope of the quality management system should be available and maintained as a documented information, and it should also provide the justifications for any kind of exclusions which they say which is not applicable, and those justifications should be convincing to the auditor. 4.4, quality management system and its process. The organization needs to establish, implement and maintain a continually improving quality management system. This quality management system is nothing but a set of process. So what is a process? Let's take an example for process. Imagine there is a machine and some parts are being manufactured from that machine. And if there is no process of quality in place, it reaches the final delivery and it reaches the customer whether the part is a defective part or a good part. When there is a process in place where a person is asked to stand there and instantly check the quality of the product, still there are loopholes. How does he actually work? If there is an instruction given to him that if the part is a defective part, segregate it separate, and if the part is a good part, let it go, and if the part needs a rework and segregate it different, we should go for a rework plant. If this process is in place, everything is fine with respect to the quality of the product. So this is an example for a process. So the organization needs to determine the process needed for the quality management system, to determine the required inputs and the expected outputs. Only then they can measure the particular process. Organization needs to determine the resource needed for the process. Organization needs to assign the responsibilities, and the organization needs to evaluate the process, whether this particular process is giving the good results or not. You can't say I have this process in place, but a documented information is absolutely necessary. So altogether, the point number 4 is very simple. It just says determine the external and internal issues so relevant to the purpose of the organization, determine the needs and expectations of interested parties, and determine a scope because everything is not possible to achieve, and have a proper quality management system and the processes. 5. Leadership and commitment. The management must demonstrate the leadership and commitment towards the quality management system, taking accountability for the effectiveness of the quality management system, promoting the use of process approach and risk-based thinking, ensuring the resource needed for the quality management systems are available, establishing quality policy and quality objectives. There is something called quality policy. It's a brief statement that aligns with organization's purpose and its strategic direction. When you visit any organization, any industry, you can see the quality policy displayed. Try to have a look at it whenever you get opportunity to visit any industry. There should be evidences that the top management is continuously encouraging the employees in order to contribute the effectiveness of the quality management system. Well, not just establishing the quality policy, but also the communication of the quality policy as well. The quality policy should be made available and maintained as a documented information, and it should be communicated and understood within the organization. 5.3. Organization roles and responsibilities. Top management should ensure that the relevant roles, responsibilities and authorities are assigned, communicated and understood. So end of the day, every employee should know what he is supposed to do, what is his roles and responsibilities, and what are his authorities, and how his performance will be measured and the results of the same. 6. Planning. The organization shall have a proper plan for the quality management system, and while planning for the same, it should consider the issues, external and internal issues which was discussed earlier, also the needs and expectations of interested parties. At the same time, think about risk and the opportunities as well. The management must establish quality objectives at relevant levels of the organization, and the quality objectives at different levels of organization must be consistent with the quality policy. It must be measurable, should be monitored, should be communicated. Last but not the least, the organization must maintain a documented information about the quality objectives. 7. Support. The first thing which is coming under support is the resource itself. A resource can be people or the infrastructure. The organization must determine and provide the relevant people required for the operation of the quality management system. The organization must determine, provide and maintain a proper infrastructure. Infrastructures includes building, a proper office space, associated utilities, hardware and software equipment, and next is environment for the operation. The organization must determine, maintain and provide a proper work environment. Socially, that is a non-discriminatory environment. Psychologically, a stress-free environment which is emotionally protective. Physical, with proper temperature, humidity, airflow and hygiene. And meanwhile, these factors might differ based on the kind of products and services the company is providing. Awareness. The organization must ensure that the people doing the work are actually aware of the quality policy, aware of the relevant quality objectives. They should know what are their contribution for the effectiveness of the quality management system, and also the implications of not conforming to the quality management system. 7.4 is communication. The organization must determine the internal and external communications on what it will communicate, when to communicate, whom to communicate and how to communicate. There should be a proper documented procedure for the communication as well. 8. Operations. So we were discussing about developing the process, but not just developing the process, but also the operation of this process and control over this process is very important. That includes a proper acceptance criteria in order to ensure that the process is working fine. Customer communication, such as providing the information about the products and services to the customers, handling their inquiries and obtaining their feedback. design and development of the products and services. This may not be applicable for all the kind of industries, but ideally an organization needs to have a proper design and development process, including design verification and validation activities, with proper communication of authorities and responsibilities, and how to handle the potential consequences of failures. Control of externally provided products and services means not only the products that it manufactures, but also it should have a control to ensure that products and services bought from outside also comply to these requirements. Organization shall determine the criteria for evaluation of these products and services. Control of non-conforming outputs. What is non-conforming? Is nothing but a defective part or a part which is not as per the specification provided. So there should be a procedure on how they will handle the non-conforming product. It can be before the delivery to the customer or even after the delivery to the customer. 9. Performance evaluation. The whole purpose here is to improve. And it serves the purpose only when you start evaluating your performance. So the organization needs to evaluate the performance of each process and resources. And what is retained at the end is only something that creates value. So the organization needs to determine what needs to be monitored, when to be monitored, and how to be monitored. And what comes to mind when we talk about the performance evaluation is the internal audit. The organization needs to conduct internal audits at planned intervals. The organization needs to plan, implement, and maintain a proper audit program. Management review. The top management shall review the organization's quality management system and improve the effectiveness. They need to consider the status of the previous management reviews, changes in the internal and external issues that was discussed earlier, to check the customer satisfaction levels and the feedback from the customers, extent to which the quality objectives are met, audit results, and also the performances of external suppliers or external service providers. So just an example of what happens in the management reviews. Take an example, one of the internal audit found an NC, a non-conformity, just because there was a shortage of resource. Now, during the management review, it's the responsibility of the management to provide the required amount of resource. 10. Improvement. So say, when an organization says, all my process is performing really nice, everything is normal, and the needs and expectations of customers are met, this is not enough. The organization needs to determine and select opportunities for improvement. The idea here is not just to reach the customer satisfaction, but also how to enhance the customer satisfaction. It's not only improving the products and services quality in order to meet the customer requirement, but also to address the future needs and expectations. So improvement not only includes just the continuous improvement, but also the corrective actions for the previous non-conformities or issues. So when a non-conformity occurs, the organization needs to demonstrate how they react to the non-conformity, take action to control it and correct it. They need to also evaluate the root cause for the non-conformity, ensure that it doesn't occur again. Also review the effectiveness of the corrective action taken. Continual improvement. The organization needs to consider the results from different evaluations and analysis, and also the output from the management reviews. So this is all about the basics of ISO 9001-2015. So what I have covered here is just a thin layer of basics, and there are a lot more to it, and you will understand it better, and it gets more interesting when you go deeper and deeper inside and when you see this applied in an industry. I hope you might have understood this and improved your knowledge, and that's the whole purpose. And well, I request you to kindly forward it to your friends and subscribe this channel so that it reaches more and more friends.